Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Techie Tuesdays. I'm your host S. Ravi Kumar. Techie Tuesdays is a weekly show where I answer your tech and career related queries. So if you like my answers, then please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends, family and colleagues. Now let's get started with today's questions. Today's first question is by Gautam. He's asking, should you hire a front-end developer or full-stack developer when you need to create an app? Gautam, if given an option, I will always choose to go for a full-stack developer with a front-end designer, or you can say web designer, or maybe if it's a mobile app, then obviously mobile app designer. The primary reason behind this is that hiring a full stack developer will give you more ROI or return of investment than hiring a front end developer, because if you are hiring a front end developer, then in that scenario you will also need to hire a back end developer, and probably there might be a scenarios where there is a fight between a front end developer and a back end developer that he is not giving me this thing, or there is a delay in development because front end developer is working on something on his pace and he is dependent on the back end developer. So businesses always go for full stack developer, because full stack developers are kind of you can say they give better return of investment, because they are kind of cheaper. You hire one developer who can develop the application end to end or work on any portion of the application, be it front end part or be it the back end part. So that way they get the things developed faster, or that way they save some money. So as a business point of view, full stack developer always give you better ROI. So if I am a business owner, or if I am a HR professional hiring for some business owner, although HR professional doesn't have those decision making powers, usually the business owner have the decision making powers, or the project managers have the decision making powers. So if they have to go for it, usually they go for full stack developers if it is available. Otherwise they hire front end and back end developer if they are not able to hire a full stack developer. But always the preference is given to full stack developer, because full stack developer gives you a better ROI. Next question is from Rakesh. He's asking, how can I become a full stack web developer in less than a year? Rakesh, there are two ways for going to this. The first way is you can go for a certification from any premier institute. There are many online institutes or offline institutes which are providing full stack developer certification courses. So you can do that full stack developer certification course from those institutes, or there are many bootcamp providers also who are providing full stack developer boot camps. So you can go or join those boot camps and do full stack development or learn full stack development from there. These boot camps usually last between 3 months to 6 months, and they are pretty affordable, I would say. In India, I think there is one such boot camp called Pesto, Pesto. So you have to search for it, Pesto. So if you go on Pesto site, they basically give you training to work as a remote full stack developer in web technologies, but you need to have at least 2 years of experience in order to join their bootcamp. So that is one thing. And remember, Pesto guys have not sponsored me anyway, because I don't have that much subscribers, so they can sponsor. So anyways, so that is one way that you can join a course or you can join a boot camp. However, whether you join a course or you join a boot camp, the second option which I'm suggesting, that is self-learning and building your brand and showcasing your learning, is applicable in the first option also. So if you are doing any certification, you should spend some time in showcasing what you have learned, That way it will not only help you understand those concepts, it will also help you in building your brand and getting a better job in future. So while learning, you can showcase that, okay, I have done this certification, this full stack certification from this premier institute, but apart from that, while learning that full stack full stack certification from that institute, I developed this full stack application. You can make it open source also. Don't think about earning money, and don't think about that the application should be unique or you are building a unique product. Don't think about earning money in this situation. You can replicate an existing application also. So you can replicate, maybe you can replicate Instagram, maybe you can replicate Facebook. So create a full stack Facebook site or full stack replica of Facebook on your application, on your GitHub profile. Make it open source and showcase that, okay, I have created a Facebook replica using the technologies which I learned during my full stack development course. So in my opinion, whether you are doing a certification course or the second option, that is whether you are going for self-learning, you should always build your online portfolio or your online brand to showcase your capabilities, that you have learned these many things, so that it will help you in getting a better job in future after you complete your full stack development course. Next question is from Numan Raza Khan. He's asking, I see nowadays in the IT sector, most people switch their jobs within 2-3 years. Is it good, or do they get confused after getting their dream jobs? Why so? Frankly speaking, there is no typical answer to this question, Numan Raza Khan. The reason behind this may vary from person to person, and they have their own personal or professional reasons. Earlier it was says that a person or someone doesn't leave their company, they leave their manager. So it might be that the place where they are working, they have a toxic manager, and they were able to handle or work with them only 2-3 years, but it can't happen everywhere. So the reasons vary from person to person and company to company. So I can't give you answer for why they do it. Regarding is it good or bad, the thing is that it is neither good nor bad. I would say that now HR is a bit acceptable. Earlier it was like HR used to frown upon people who changes companies every 2-3 years, but now they are pretty much flexible, because even they have the pressure to fix or get the jobs done or get the position filled as soon as possible. So basically, if the company has more requirement of the resources, and they are looking into they have scarcity of resources, then in that scenario HR usually forgo those things, that this person has hopped from one company to another company in 2-3 years, or every 2 years this person changed company. Usually these kind of considerations or these kind of things they take into the consideration when they are hiring for bench, or when they are relaxed in their hiring. But when they are in pressure to fill the position, these kind of things are kind of forgiven or not looked upon that much. Next question is from Logesh. He's asking, currently I am working in service-based company with complete automation testing. I got selected in product-based company with SDNet role, but half of manual and automation role. Either this affects the automation career of my path. Logesh, if I am understanding correctly, you want to ask that whether joining this new product based company where half of the work is automation testing and half of the work is manual testing, will it affect your automation tester path, or will it affect your career path? So the answer to your question is no, it won't affect your long-term career path as an automation tester, because half of the work is anyway automation testing. So you are still using your automation testing skills. But apart from that, since half of the work is manual testing, it is giving you an you can say experience to learn new thing. So since you are joining a product based company, many people are very much excited or very much interested in joining a product based company. So it would be a good addition in your resume also that you are working in a product based company. And apart from that, learning this manual tester job is kind of a learning opportunity also for you, that you may suggest them that they should move that manual testing job also to automation testing. So by that way you can also grow in your position, because you are going in SDET role. I don't know the full form of SDET, probably software developer engineering test or something. I'm sorry, I'm not very well versed with these short forms of the job roles. But anyways, so it will also give you I'm assuming that you are going on a senior post, so it will also give you an opportunity to express yourself or showcase your capabilities of turning a manual test case into an automation test case in their current framework. So by that way you will also increase your experience in automation testing. So I think it is a win-win situation for you, that you are going into product based company and you are going to get new experiences or learn new experiences. So I don't think it will affect your automation career or your testing career path as such in long term. Next question is from Pallavi Thakur. She's asking, what is the best option, working with a small level company with good designation and money, or working with an MNC with an entry level position? Pallavi, the best option is whatever makes you happy and whatever helps you in getting your long term goals or life goals, or whatever suits your personality. So many people are basically outspoken, or you can say that extrovert kind of personality, where they always want to be in the limelight and they always want to be on you can say in the spotlight. So limelight, spotlight, one and the same thing. So most of the extrovert people like to be on the spotlight, or they want to be in the limelight, always want to be the center of attraction. So for those kind of people, I would say that the first option suits good, because that will make them happy, because they have a good designation to showcase that okay, I am is at a very good designation, be it a VP, be it a CTO or something like that in a company, and I'm earning money. So if they are earning good money and they have a good designation, they also have the opportunity to talk with all the top level management people. Their things are being noticed, their work is being noticed, and they are being appraised, so they are getting good confidence boost also. So for those kind of personalities or for those kind of people, I think the first option is good. For the people who are kind of introvert in nature, they don't want to be in limelight, they want a calm and composed job. They don't want to be on the top of the like on the top of you can say on the top of everything, or you can say who don't want to be in control, who just want a calm composed job. So who want to be part of the herd most of the time. So you can say you can join an MNC in that scenario, because you will also get good perks there. You just have to follow orders, and although if you have to grow, you have to do all these things, or you have to become an extrovert in an MNC also. But I would say that probably it depends on what makes you more happy or what suits your personality type. So I'm not a I would say that I'm not a better judge of this thing, but in my opinion the first option is always good for everyone, because it will always keep you on toes. And of course, since you are earning good money along with good designation, so it will keep you motivated also. So I think the first option is always good, but again it primarily depends on what is your personality type, what is your long-term goals, what do you want from your life, and what is your key to happiness. So probably you need to introspect yourself. But if you ask for my opinion will be to go for the first one, that is good designation and money in a small level company. That's fine. Next question is from Vishal Patel. He's asking, earlier XML was used to transfer data between front end and back end. So why was XML replaced by JSON? Vishal, the philosophical and simple answer to this would be because change is the only constant thing in life. But jokes aside, there are many technical reasons to this. The first one is JSON being more lighter than XML. So XML, because XML is a formatted language, so it needs parsing, it supports styles and all those things. So XML being a formatted language, a particular format, it was heavier to transfer data from XML, like from front end to back end when using XML. Comparatively, if you are using JSON, JSON is much more lighter because it has not that much not that much extra strings to it than the JSON. Than the XML. So that is one of the primary difference. That is you can say the weight of the data, or you can say the weight of the data, that XML is more heavier than just JSON to transfer even for simple things. XML is heavier than JSON. That is one thing. Number two, JSON support intrinsic types. So if you are using JSON object to transfer data from front end to back end or vice versa, JSON support intrinsic types. That is, it supports strings, it supports number, it supports array, it supports boolean. So those are all kind of things. It supports everything. So you can directly parse a JSON object, or you can directly deserialize a JSON into an object in whatever programming language you are working upon. Whereas for XML is basically a typeless typeless programming language. So it is basically a typeless thing. It is, everything is a string there. So XML is in a big format. XML is a string, and that string needs to be passed according to an XSD or according to a class, so in order to deserialize into an object. So that again takes more processing power. So again, in both the scenarios, JSON is lighter, as well as it supports the intrinsic types also. That is one of the one more benefit. Then apart from that, data is readily accessible as JSON object. So you can even very easily read the JSON object in any JSON formatter. You can read the object and you can understand the data. It's simpler to read. But whereas in case of XML, you need to read all the tags, and then you need to understand that what is the tag, and then probably you need to understand the data. So from the naked eye, JSON is much more readable. But the primary reason which I see, in my opinion, is the first two reasons which I gave you, that is JSON is much more lighter and it supports the intrinsic data type, whereas XML is a bit heavier and it doesn't support the intrinsic data type. So these were my answers to your tech and career related queries in this episode of Techie Tuesdays. If you like your questions to be featured in next episode of Techie Tuesdays, you can DM me your questions on any social media platform. All my social media handles are Techie Rathor. I hope you like my answers, and if you like my answers, then please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends, family and colleagues. So until my next video, take care. Bye bye.